Day 528. Continuing with mild progress. I don't know if it's about the ingredients or the medium anymore. Been changing proportions for the last couple of days, but the result remains the same. Passable, mostly. Still not enough. Timing is crucial, as always. When isn't it? One way or another, I have to make it work. What other choice do I have? What other choice do any of us have? At least those of us who are too stubborn to give up, too attached to run, too involved to not care. Everybody is different. Everyone reacts differently. For some, other options are the only options they have. Not for me, apparently. Not until. Anyway, I will make it work. And if not, I'll try something else. And then something else. And we'll keep trying until something actually works. I'm just a simple alchemist, one of many. But I'll figure it out. Timing, though. Time. The last batch still works. Or so the reports say. But the swarm of wolves. Soon they'll find a way around it. We must be ready. Not for that next cycle of evolution, of course, but the one after the next one. And the one after that. And the one after that. That's the only way. To stay ahead. To stay ahead of this swarm. And its monsters. Monsters. Evil fox. I still don't know what happened to Vic. Did something actually happen? I'm not sure. There wasn't any word from him. I don't know if there'll ever be. In all honesty, there's been quite some time since he was supposed to reach out. I guess I just keep hoping he's doing whatever it is he's supposed to do. Not that I can afford anything else at the moment. The cult is elusive. He must be working on it. Yes, it must be that. No contact is a necessary move if he managed to get there. I hope he's okay. When Yana disappeared for those weeks, it felt somewhat surreal. But she came back, eventually. And now it has become just a part of the routine. People leaving, people returning. Most of them at least. Those who don't come back, they're not lost, not to me. Remembering is important, so we don't fall into collective amnesia of us tripping over ourselves. Holding on to something. Maybe I just need to hold on to something to stay grounded, to keep my focus, regardless, in spite of. Everything was surreal back then. The most overwhelming feeling I ever had. Reality, but unreal. So real, but alien, wrong. Not mine. It was not mine. Grotesque. As if it were enough to look the other way, and everything would disappear. Yet so sharply palpable, piercing, consuming, breaking. Now it's just another day's work. Mundane. And it's good. Feels like I'm in the right place. Feels like I'm at the right time. It's not easy to stay ahead. Well, it's not easy to keep up even. Maybe we'll never be able to stop them. Maybe this self-twisting spiral will never cease to evolve. But anyway, there's not much I can do about it. Just keeping it at bay, I guess. That should be good enough, right? If we can remain just one step ahead of them, if we can hold out just one day longer than them, that has to be enough. People disappearing or losing everything they had, losing loved ones, losing themselves, losing it to fear, hopelessness, despair, grief. At this point, probably everyone in the city knows someone like that, or is someone like that. The swarm is brutal, merciless. It's quite effective in serving the will of its masters. It is somewhat blind in its execution, yes, and doesn't always have the precision necessary for the job it seems to be doing. That is also true, but it is many. The swarm is many, and it gets bigger by the day, and it comes at night. I wonder, will it come today as well? Who or what will it take? Maybe my neighbor, or that new shopping district at the city outskirts. Could be me. Or maybe we'll manage to keep it away and no harm will be done. Most nights are like that. Surveilling, fighting off, evaluating the results. Sometimes we get unlucky. Sometimes they overwhelm us. Can be a new mutation, iteration, or some new trick we failed to anticipate. The other night, almost half the block on the eastern bank of the city was gone. It was mostly deserted, but still, it could have been anything or anybody. Even though most of the people are not targeted specifically, all of us are targets. The swarm is evolving rapidly. Sometimes the estimates don't even last the night. I have to focus. I was on the site, even if it was not my first time seeing the aftermath of the swarm attack. It looked really bad. Ugly grooves stretching across the ground and concrete, dozens of small intersecting gashes, shallow depressions from hundreds of impacts, huge gaping holes with sharp edges as if the matter was cleanly cut and sucked into the nether. Still not sure how much of the swarm is mechanical or biological, or just dumb mind game. From what we know, it seems to be all of that. Efficient at causing damage, if the attack succeeds. Good at surveillance. Real good at stealth. Just its existence alone is causing pressure on people's minds. People adapt, of course. Some better than others. But you can't exclude psychological factors from the equation. Moving through one of the many adjacent planes, they are the perfect tools for their deadly missions. Or nearly perfect. would have been done long ago if we had not prepared for that. We hope it wouldn't ever come to that. Yet, here we are. The interplanar is crucial. If I were not the one of those battery brewing, I would have been gulping it down right now. I mean, it's not that bad. And it's safe. For the most part. Untested long term, yes, but it's not like someone had to do it before. It's not like someone had to deal with monstrosities with the ability to travel dimensional planes and pop in or out at will. We can do that. We're not built for that. As multiple attempts demonstrated clearly enough. But once IV was developed, things had changed. It became clear the barrier wasn't impenetrable. We weren't tied to our plane, not exclusively. Not at all. And with time and research, we can probably go even further, but... yeah. The observer effect, basically. Once we had interplanar vision, and we could see into... well, there is not much to see really. So far, all of the adjacent ones were rather empty. Until one day they weren't. And the swarm came. The observer effect. I always wonder if we weren't the ones who made them. Could the very act of observing this alien space populated it with these creatures, machines, entities? We still don't know what they are. Those fucks in Temp Tarak didn't come up with them for sure. Engineering something like that? No, that's hardly possible. They've made quite a show of weaponizing it, though. How could they? Why can't we? Many questions remain without answers. Of course, they've made it part of domestic propaganda. It's all because they're simply superior, more powerful, more favored by whatever deities or arcane forces any of them happen to believe. Other nations are there for the taking, waiting for salvation by Temtarak's hand. Only the depraved and the wicked can be impudent and foolish enough to oppose the greatest. Why wouldn't they want to be saved, huh? Why would anybody resist the eternal light of one of the greatest of civilizations? They've mastered and traveled all the planes of existence, and their riches are waiting for them. We might happen to be first in line to be saved, but certainly wouldn't be the last. That's all bullshit, though. They've never been to any other planes, and have no more mastery over dimensional travel than ants over a random boot crushing them. This one remains to be pretty remarkable in its own right, though. The Empire's beliefs are rather diverse and eclectic. I guess you can't swallow that many different cultures without tasting a bit of each, or making some concessions to the locals. As long as they stay loyal and don't stray too far from the prevailing ideology, of course. How far is too far, and what's tolerated is for the Empire to decide. The disobedient and the defiant ones are to be disposed of without much of a deliberation, of course. Most don't really have a choice. Without a powerful leverage or comparable resources to withstand the pressure of the ever-expanding empire, most fall into its grasp with relative ease. Cult of the other. Many failed, but this one managed to be successfully exported from the empire. as far as we know at least. Its public wing is loud enough to be obvious in its agenda, worshipping the so-called other, advocating for search of other planes, new opportunities for people, promising all sorts of wonders, from the secret of eternal life to a remedy for the common cold, the unseen world of which is within our grasp. Of course, they advocate for a push in domestic research, but never fail to mention how empire is at the forefront, and it would be wise to join. The top leaders prove to be quite secretive, though. Public faces are there to tell people what they wish to hear, but the cult certainly has a secret agenda. Infiltration seems to be their priority, gathering intel mostly, at least for now. But those secret meetings with people wearing masks, we still have not much to go off besides speculation. Hope Vic is okay. Ever since he went undercover for the cult. No, I can't. He's going to be fine. He's professional. He has to. And if not, well, I'll deal with it then. Yeah, as if I were ever good at dealing with stuff like that, aside from sweeping it under the rug. But you have to prioritize some things, right? Now is not the time for that. I guess the problem is there's never time for that. Maybe I'm just tired. Or am I? I can never tell. Sometimes it feels like I'm vacillating between the high energy, forward-looking intent and falling into the pit of despair. Like I fall if I just stop to look at my feet. So I keep running forward, running towards, running from. I can never tell. I don't even know if that's true. Most of the time it's all just flat or fine or I don't know. Maybe I would have been better in the corpse. Maybe I'd deluded myself into thinking that I'm a better alchemist than a soldier. No, it's not that. It's not like I just picked this job for myself out of thin air. Still, surveilling, looking for the swarm through planes, wouldn't be that bad. The potion has some side effects, but they're rather mild. And with the new batch, pretty sure I'll be able to make it more predictable and safer. Those occasions when it simply doesn't work are still puzzling. The general consensus is that it's a unique combination of a user and environmental factors, but it's such an unsatisfactory explanation. Seems like a cop-out to say we have no clue. Potion's efficacy becoming much more accurate than a weather prediction has been a big step forward, but the nature of looking into the other side still holds numerous variables, a lot of which I assume we don't even know exist. Guess I'll wait for the word from the headquarters and look what's the progress with the accelerator agents and move on from there. I have a couple of ideas on how to change the formula to make it more reliable. Maybe even make detection more precise. Because right now it's more like a somewhat hazy radar. It works, but could be better. The potion still has much left to be desired in the sense of safety and stability, but let's wait for those tested results. Without them, it feels like I'm stuck at a crossroads. For now, there's another night waiting for me. Another night when I'll try to sleep. And if the swarm comes again, well, there will not be much of that. Sleep, I mean. But if I make it until morning, the sun will rise and bring a new day. And I'm still alive, and people will get to their routine work, and life goes on.